when I discovered the real implications of Rene Girard's work, I've started with I See Satan Fall Like Lightning as the first book I read from him. And for me, it was interesting because it was like, I took it as a piece of apologetics, which it is, but like, we don't think of Rene Girard as contributing that much in the world of apologetics. You traditionally go to like, classical theistic arguments and stuff, William Lane Craig, those kind of folks in the evangelical community, and arguments about the historicity of the resurrection and the why would they send women to give the testimony if they were trying to lie. That would not be a good argument for believing in their claims, as audacious as they were. Those are all good arguments, but Rene Girard's argument kind of was like, wow, that really, it felt as if just to put an analogy to it, people who believe in the evidence of UFOs or something, when they see a video on the Navy report, the military report about all these UFOs, it's like you're starting to see that there's something more magical about the world than you would be led to believe if you just accept the standard line of materialism, right? That we're all just accidents, we're going to die and mean nothing, and it's all just an illusion, right? And when you see UFOs, it kind of, if people who get into that thing, it kind of gives them a little clue that there's a magical world out there, in the sense of this world is more electric and unknown than we understand, right? And I know that sounds weird to compare it to the resurrection, but it's a similar thing. When you see evidence, let me put it this way: when the Pentagon's saying, before I just did a discussion with Blake Masters, who's running for U.S. Senate in Arizona, and he talked about the UFO thing, and the fact that we can have a conversation with a U.S. Senate candidate who has a real shot of being a senator about the UFO thing shows how far we've come in terms of a whole new way of talking about topics that were considered to be taboo and bizarre and out there. And that's because there's so much evidence from the government that there's something going on with that it now demands to be talked about. And the same thing kind of I felt happened for me when I read Rene Girard's book, I See Satan Fall Like Lightning, because I said, whoa, I always thought that resurrection, apologetic arguments for the real reality of resurrection could only get you so far to the circumstantial evidence. And then you always had that, the resurrection was done in secret. In private, right? Nobody saw the actual resurrection, right? It wasn't a public event in front of the town square where everybody was watching as he popped out of the cave, right? And so it was always kind of like, well, all the evidence that the church presents in their traditional apologetics can only take you so far, but you still have to have this kind of, there's this caution tape, don't go near the resurrection itself in any kind of evidence, because to do so would be to diminish the importance of faith in that part of it, right? And so when I saw what Rene Girard was saying about the historicity of the resurrection, I felt like, wow, I had crossed over that caution tape, and I was getting closer to an actual historical piece of evidence that a resurrection really occurred. It wasn't just some mystical faith proposition that we just don't want to talk about as a historical fact. It started to feel the same way that people are now starting to feel that, wait a second, I thought UFOs was just science fiction, and you're telling me that there's this thing flying around and it goes underwater and it goes up, and now senators like Marco Rubio are saying we need to really take this seriously. That's how it felt. I know it's a weird analogy, but that's the best way I can explain it,